kind of like I-85.
What?
Yeah.
No, say more.
Let me get the old vocal cords, like, ready to go.
Will's back. We're ending on a positive note.
Happy Friday, Falcons fans. Welcome back to the Friday Five. I'm your host, Will McFadden. I'm joined by Tori, McElhaney, and Terrin Waack. I really want to thank you guys for filling in for the last two shows while I was out on a little mini paternity leave. We welcomed our second son to the family, and I think you guys did an amazing job. So honestly, I feel like big shoes to fill sitting in Terrin's seat because like
these nice size 8s,
you know,
7.5 or 8, depending on the shoe.
Honestly, like I can't fill them because you did such a great job, Terrin. Honestly, like I enjoyed listening to the show on it more than I do when I'm on it. So we got to figure that out. I got to step my game up. But really, really appreciate you doing that, and I hope everybody enjoyed listening to Terrin and Tori kind of ISO without me. But I'm back, so you guys got to deal with me, and we've got an awesome show kind of talking about where the Falcons go after, in the midst of their 4-game losing streak, a rematch on tap. But as always, we're going to start with our social question of the day, which we have no pre-knowledge of. So we're about to see it all live. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, please check out, look at our lower third that we're about to get, and I'm going to read it out for our listening audience here. So let's go. Give it to us, Jared. All right, which is closest to midnight? Is it A, 12:01 p.m., B, 11:57 a.m., C, 12:04 a.m., or D, 11:54 p.m.? 3, 2, 1.
It's D.
D?
No, it's
C.
C.
It's C.
It's C.
It is C.
Yeah,
it is C.
Yeah, because it's 6 minutes to midnight.
Versus,
okay.
I had to read,
4 minutes.
and I could not do
I
that.
know. Okay, yeah, so
that was
tough.
right.
Yeah.
That was kind of tough. All right, yeah, I have never seen that before. That was apparently it's like a social trend.
Is it?
Like
I'm not on that side of social media. Apparently, I'm on. I watch a lot of cop like pulling people over, like dash cam, body cam footage.
What?
That's what I fall asleep to. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
No, say more.
No, it's just like it's on my TikTok, and so I watch like.
Be careful what you say more.
No, I watch these people get arrested, and there's really like dumb people getting arrested, and it's like they're either drunk or they don't think they did anything wrong. And
so what would be your go-to move now with all of the footage you've watched of if you had to, if you had the white Bronco situation, would you make it out alive? Like, would you escape?
No, because I am a rule follower through and through.
She'd cry.
I would cry. I would burst into tears.
The lights turn on, instant tears.
Instant tears. Like, there would be no stopping.
It's not even her being pulled over, crying.
It's literally 2 people in front of me, and I'm sobbing because I think.
Have you gotten out of a ticket with that move?
No. But I also haven't been pulled over and like. Oh. I've gotten one speeding ticket in my life, and I still feel bad to that cop because I was a little bit of a pest because I was like, ugh, I have to get where I'm going. Leave me alone. I was only going a little over.
Terrin, you seem pretty confident in your answer quickly.
About midnight?
Yeah. Just math genius over there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know my midnight hours.
Is it you were born in the darkness?
I am darkness. Actually, I have no idea when I was born.
Really? I was born at 12 a.m.
12 minutes from midnight.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. We are getting off the rails.
Yeah, let's
get a little bit. All right.
Host Terrin is kicking in.
Well, it's it's a little bit close to midnight for the Falcons here. They're sitting at 3-6. They've got to figure out ways to kind of get back on track, and it starts this Sunday against Carolina. Terrin, I've been out. I had some things going on in my personal life, so I haven't kept track with the Carolina Panthers. I know that they've kind of exceeded maybe their preseason expectations, but what's up with Carolina right now?
The vibe change from the first time the Falcons placed the Panthers to now is very different. Mm-hmm. The Panthers were 0-2 entering their Week 3 game against the Falcons. As we all know, the Falcons lost that game 30-0, which put the Panthers at 1-2. Math with me here. The Panthers dropped their next game to the Patriots, but then went on a 3-game winning streak, something the Falcons have been unable to do this season. And since they beat the Falcons, the Panthers have gone 4-3, so now they're 5-5. And I don't think people expected that 3-game winning streak specifically, but a big highlight of the Panthers, especially since Week 3, because I don't think he was a huge factor in that game, is their running back, Rico Dowdle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tori, I mean, when obviously the presence of Rico Dowdle kind of has changed things, I think, for a little bit. They've become such a run-oriented team. Atlanta has had some, issues with their run defense recently. How much do you expect Rico to be a factor Sunday?
I do think he will be a factor this coming weekend, way more so than we saw him, I think, the first time around, just because I think they've really figured something out with him and what he is able to do. I know he's third in the NFL with 788 rushing yards, good for 78.8 yards per game. It's honestly one of those things where, in terms of what the Carolina Panthers have found in him, I think it's a diamond in the rough situation that has happened organically as they've figured out what they want to do offensively. And he's doing some really good things, and it's almost like he's been in that conversation with Bijan Robinson, at that time that Bijan was ascending, and now since then the Falcons' run game has pitter-pattered out. But what Rico Dowdle is still doing is, I think he's right on par with some of the best in the league at the position.
Yeah, the explosiveness really jumps out, Terrin.
Yeah, Tori kind of hit on the stats when it came to what Dowdle is doing. He's 7th overall in yards from scrimmage, averaging 110.4 yards per game. He has scored 6 touchdowns, 5 rushing, 1 receiving. So he is kind of a threat in both facets of the game.
Yeah, it's going to be, the Falcons had a great matchup with the Colts, and that was Jonathan Taylor, Bijan Robinson. This is another one where it's like 2 really, really good running backs, and I think we look at the NFL as such a pass-happy league right now, but when you have players that can do it all and are as versatile as these 2 guys and explosive on the ground, and that is the thing. I think Rico Dowdle has been so explosive for the Carolina Panthers that you feel like any given play, they have the chance to go to the distance, but as much as, he changes things for Carolina, I look at this game as really about Atlanta.
Yeah.
That first loss, it was kind of all Atlanta. Like, they couldn't get out of their own way. So, Tori, when you're kind of looking at this game, how much is it on Atlanta and how much is it matching up against Carolina?
I mean, I think that, to your point, I agree with you. It's all in Atlanta, and I'm going to make it really simple for everybody. The Falcons have to win this game. There's no way around it. There's no way to overlook it. We'll get into playoff predictions and percentages and what needs to happen down the stretch and all of that later in the show, but I actually thought what Kaden Elliss said in the post-game locker room in Germany is where this team is right now and where your mindset has to be going into this Carolina Panthers game, regardless of what Carolina throws at you, to your point.
Or runs at you.
Either one. But he was talking about how essentially the Falcons have been so close in their last 2 games, especially against the Patriots and the Colts, which is great. You get the sentiment. You understand, yes, you are close. They lost by 1 because of a missed extra point, and then you lose in overtime in Germany to the Colts. And so, yes, I agree. Those games do show a team that's close to figuring it out. But, and this is what Kaden Elliss said after the loss in Germany, you can't just be close anymore when you've lost 6 games. And I think that's where you go into this game, is like no longer can being close be acceptable. You have to start stacking wins. And it literally starts this Sunday against an NFC South team that absolutely put it to you in week 3. And, I mean, you need redemption in more ways than one, and it has to start now.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I think there are a lot of ways in which this matchup favors Atlanta, but there are also some ways in which Carolina has shown some real growth and that they have gotten better, and it's going to be a game where I think Atlanta needs to come out and play sharp. I think if they play the way that they did against New England and Indianapolis, like they should be able to take care of business at home. I do think Atlanta is a very talented team that can play as well as anybody. We saw them beat Buffalo. We saw them kind of roll over Washington. Like, Washington is a good team as well. So, Terrin, can you, let's dig into some of these matchups here a little bit.
Yeah. Before we do that, something Tori said kind of triggered a memory just from this week alone, before all the prep and things like that. This phrase of over the hump, because Kaden Elliss said it in the full quote. And then I think Zach Robinson said it.
Drake.
Drake did in the post-game locker room, but I'm talking about this week, not even just immediate emotions after that loss to the Colts. This week, it's the coaches are saying it, the players are saying it, and I think about how I talked to Kirk Cousins about the 2012 Washington team that went 3-6 and then went on a run to make it to the playoffs. He started talking about the present-day Falcons in a sense that, look, we just have to get over the hump. Like, we're very close, but in the NFL, being close doesn't matter. But the one thing you can, like, kind of hold on to is that as soon as you tip the scale, you can go on a run. So close is good still, even if it doesn't show on the record.
Does it feel like this team is, once they kind of figure out that mix, that chemistry, and it clicks, does it feel like they're primed to go on that run to you guys?
I do think that defensively you do pose a very good opportunity that if your offense can figure it out,
the defense keeping them in every game.
In every single game. So I'm not worried about the defense. I do think that there are a lot of offensive issues at play here that in order for the Falcons to get where they want to go and ultimately be a team that isn't just close enough, but they are surpassing other teams and winning games. Until they get some of these issues on offense figured out, until they start cleaning some things up, like, we're going to continue to have the same conversation about who they are and what they are.
Yeah, and now I can get us back on track. But, Tori, as you said, Sunday's game is a must-win for the Falcons. Per usual, a lot of that responsibility falls on the quarterback. You were just saying how the offense, especially in Atlanta, needs to figure things out. Well, both the Falcons and the Panthers have relatively young quarterbacks. I mean, Michael Penix Jr. is 25. He was the Falcons' number 8 draft pick last year. Bryce Young is 24, but he was the Panthers' number 1 overall draft pick 2 years ago. So Young has an extra year in the league, but you can kind of take both their careers already, and I hate the word compare in this league. And now I sound like a coach. But
they run parallel with each other.
Kind of like I-85.
Yeah.
North and South.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Which I wrote about. Anyways, but for both of y'all, like, how do you look at these two quarterbacks and what they mean for not only this matchup, but the NFC South?
So I think that you actually wrote about this very early on in the season, probably like when we were going into week 3, about how these two quarterbacks are the NFC South as it stands right now, and are planning to, both organizations are positioning them to continue to be the guys of the NFC South moving forward. We don't know what's going to happen with Baker Mayfield, even though Baker Mayfield is playing out of his mind in Tampa Bay right now. Heck, he could play out of his mind for another 5 or 6 years. Who knows? But you know he is on the older side of quarterbacks in the league. You also know that the Saints are doing whatever the heck they're doing down in New Orleans with their quarterback situation. Nobody knows. And then you have Bryce Young and Michael Penix Jr., both individuals who you use a first-round draft pick on, you really want to see develop into your franchise guy. So I think you make a good point about where things stand with both organizations.
Yeah, and I think if you look at kind of the way that Michael Penix and Bryce Young both play, they're the similarities of where they are in their careers at this respective time and kind of what they mean to both franchises, right? Looking to the future of their offense and trying to build around them. But I like, stylistically, I see very different players.
1,000%.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, when you look at Bryce Young, I think the guys that kind of come to mind are more the Tua, Derek Carr, get it out of their hands. They're going to throw it a little bit shorter and kind of like allow the players around him to make those plays. Whereas best case scenario for Michael Penix Jr. is that he is such a factor with what he is able to do when he is launching the ball. And then the way he's getting...
Right, a ceiling of like Matthew Stafford.
Right,
yeah,
exactly. And it's kind of like just that ability alone to throw the ball, the threat of being able to push it down the field should hopefully open things up. So you see where just the player themselves, whether they're on or not, their presence kind of changes the defense and I think we're already kind of seeing some of that respect. Like, that was one of the first things that jumped out to me kind of in week 1 against Tampa early in the season. It was like, wow, these defenses are already showing Michael Penix Jr. a lot of respect.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I think when I look at this matchup and going into this specific game, I do think that we do need to talk about Michael Penix and how much heat I feel like is on him right now specifically.
A lot of mailbag questions.
Yeah, a lot of mailbag questions about Michael Penix. A lot of people on radio, on Twitter, wherever, talking about Michael Penix's development. And I think we have to remember that this is a guy who's 11 starts into his career. We knew this was going to happen. Like, we knew there were going to be growing pains, and I think a lot of growing pains can actually be seen in a lot of third and long situations. I spent so much time this week looking at every single Atlanta Falcons third down appearance over the course of this season so far, and I actually learned a lot about some key trends and issues that they're seeing on third down. And one of them is that Michael Penix has a level of inaccuracy on third down, and he's trying to push the ball downfield, which in and of itself isn't a bad thing that you're wanting to push the ball downfield. But in a situation where you already have a low probability ball, i.e. the deep ball, and a low probability play, i.e. a third and long situation, it makes it really difficult to overlook that. So please go read that.
Well, can I want to bolster your, but go read that.
Yeah, please go read that, because I spent a lot of time on it, and I really do think that it showcases a lot of kind of some of the main trends that we're seeing the Falcons mess up, deploy, overlook, potentially on third down specifically.
It'll answer a lot of your questions.
Yeah, I hope so anyways.
Yeah, definitely. But to that point, like when you look at the third down specifically, because it feels like those are the opportunities where Michael is looking for shots down the field and throwing it deep. So I was just kind of curious. Next Gen Stats, he is third in air yards to the sticks metric, which is kind of a positive minus metric. It's how far beyond the sticks on third down are you throwing the ball, or how far in front of the sticks on third down, right? Are you going to try to gain that first down with your arm or let somebody run and do it? He's third among quarterbacks with at least 200 dropbacks so far this season at like 3.1 yards. So he's throwing it past the first down marker a lot on third down. But this is kind of the other metric that pairs with that, is he has the lowest short of the sticks throws on third down. So on the one hand, that's a benefit. That is a positive thing if that is your mentality of, hey, if we catch this ball, if I deliver this ball, it's going to be a first down. I don't even want to give the defense a chance to rally and make the tackle or anything. Like, let's put it on us, right? But on the other hand, you may want to say, let's take the easier completion. Let's keep this drive alive. Is that something you would like to see, Terrin, a little bit more on Sunday of like, get it to Bijan, get it to Kyle, allow them to make those plays when it's there? Or do you like the mentality of the kind of big game hunting?
I'm going to be brutally honest here. Just convert the third down.
Yeah,
like, I don't really care how they do it. Right now, the number 0 of 8 against the Colts, that's bad.
You can't live like that.
There's no other word for it. I know I mentioned it to Tyler Algier post game, and he goes, "Really?"
Yeah.
And was like,
"Whew." Yeah.
And
1 of 19
it's true.
on third down your last 2 games.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that number speaks for itself, and all you have to do is actually convert them. Like, throw it, run it, just do it.
Yeah.
Nike.
Right, yeah. I also think, and this is something that I wrote about in that story, is I think that what coaches are saying and that there needs to be help around Michael Penix is actually very true when you go and look at film.
For sure.
I think that there are some issues in protection, particularly with this offensive line picking up stunts and twists. I think that there are also some instances where, depending on the call, related to how much time Michael actually has in the pocket, some of the routes that receivers are running are a bit too deep, considering how quickly pressure is on Michael Penix. And then, of course, you always have kind of like your check down to Bijan, for example. But if they're in man coverage, a lot of times that check down is pretty covered up. So there are a few different times over the course of these third and long situations where Michael Penix is under pressure. His receivers are downfield, but no one's looking back. No one's even close to making a move back to him or even turning around, and his check down is covered up.
Yep.
And then it's just a recipe for not success.
I'm really glad you brought that up, because the press conferences this week have been pretty heavy in a sense of like, Michael Penix Jr. is really hard on himself.
Yeah.
Raheem Morris talked about it. Zach Robinson talked about it. Michael himself talked about it. And it just felt like this young quarterback, which we already talked about how he's only in his,
11th
start, is putting so much pressure on himself. And it's one thing when your coaches say it. It's another thing when your teammates say it. But to have, like, you say it, like, they got to help him out.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
it's a third party.
Yeah,
or whatever the quote is from She's the Man.
Right, yeah. It's one of those things where you look, I mean, you don't have to look very far. Look at all the third and long situations, and you'll see issues at every single level of this offense. And, I think in terms of, I understand why people put a lot of pressure, put a lot of heat on the quarterback. It is the hardest position to play in, I think, almost all of sports. I would not want to play quarterback. Point blank, period. But something that I want people to remember is Michael Penix's numbers so far through this season, so 8 starts through 2025, are not far off from someone who in 2008 won the Offensive Rookie of the Year award, and that was Matt Ryan. I went back and I wanted to see how far off Michael Penix is, comparatively speaking, to where Matt Ryan was in his.
Ooh, I love that.
In his, thank you. In his true rookie season. Because as y'all know, if y'all have been listening to this podcast, I don't consider Mike's 3 starts in 2024 to really truly count towards what we can expect from him and his development, because I think the situation that he was entering into, not having worked as the starter for the entirety of the whole time he had been there, I don't count those. This here is the bulk. So I went back and I looked at what Matt Ryan was doing, and I thought it was interesting because Matt Ryan had 3,440 passing yards. He had 16 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and an 87.7 passer rating. Through 8 games in 2025, Mike has 1,807 passing yards, on trajectory to be around where Matt was at the end of 2008. Mike has thrown 9 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions, which technically is better numbers than what Matt put up in his rookie season. Mm-hmm. And Mike has an 86.8 passer rating, very close to Matt Ryan's. I know all of this because, again, Matt Ryan was named the Offensive Rookie of the Year that year after the Falcons went 11-5. They won a lot of games, made it to the playoffs, and I think that's the difference. The team was winning with Matt Ryan at the time, so I would argue that potentially the ire wouldn't be as hot. The seat wouldn't be as hot on Mike if the Falcons as a collective unit were putting together wins. Yes, Michael Penix needs to be better in certain situations. Yes, he needs to develop. All of those things are 100% true. But I don't want people to move the goalpost on Michael Penix because, let's be real, you're mad at the coaches right now.
Yeah, it's totally, I think it's fair because there are plenty of times where it feels like watching the game, you're just like, oh man, this may not be the best performance from Michael Penix. And then you kind of look at the box score and you're like, well, he's got 172 yards at halftime. He's got a touchdown pass. He's got whatever. And it's the way that it looks doesn't always match up maybe with the final numbers, but there's a lot to that. And I think that the Carolina game, also the first time around, just the way that he performed kind of stuck in a lot of people's minds. And maybe that is something that they just draw on when thinking about his play unfairly maybe. But it is fair because he showed it out there. So now he has the chance to kind of redeem himself on Sunday and put together a really good rebound performance. And I expect him to do that. But let's really quickly kind of pivot and talk about what the Falcons stand to gain on Sunday with a win, or, would they drop out of the playoff landscape? So Terrin, what does the playoff landscape look like in the NFC at this point in time?
Give us the lay of the land.
Oh, speaking of the lay of the land, I'm going to address the NFC like a compass.
Oh.
Never eat soggy waffles.
Okay.
The Lions lead the North, the Eagles lead the East, the Buccaneers lead the South, and the Seahawks lead the West.
Okay.
Those are your leaders. The wild card picture includes the Rams, Bears, and Packers. The 49ers, Panthers, and Vikings are the top NFC bubble teams, right outside looking in. And when you look at the NFC South specifically, because that's what matters most to the Falcons right now, Bucs, as we know, lead. Panthers, as I already said, second. The Falcons are third with their 3-6 record. The Saints are fourth with a 2-8 record. Low-key closing in, or the Falcons are falling back. But those records are getting closer and closer to each other each time we share this little update.
Yeah, that's true.
So when we talk about the Falcons and Panthers game in week 3, no other NFC South teams had played each other at that point, just the Falcons and the Buccaneers. The Falcons were 2 games into the NFC schedule and no one else had played each other. But with a greater sample size, here's all the divisional records. Bucs 2-0, Panthers 1-1, Falcons 0-2, Saints 1-1. The Falcons have the worst NFC South record right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they can change that in the next 2 weeks because
True.
They've got the Panthers and the Saints, on tap. So this stretch is very important. You gave us the lay of the land. Tori, how do they navigate it?
Yeah, so let me get the old vocal cords ready to go.
She's about to do my favorite thing and talk about numbers.
Mm-hmm. I'm about to go on a monologue.
All right, dim the light. Let's put the studio spotlight on Tori.
That was so sweet, Terrin. I'm ready for the numbers.
All right, here we go. So looking at the New York Times Playoff Simulator, which is a great tool, I think everyone should go and check it out. It's very helpful, I think, even for us too, as we're trying to figure out how to relay information. The Falcons have just a 5% chance to make the playoffs right now as everything stands, with them being 3-6. If they go 4-4 the rest of the way, even with wins against all 3 NFC South opponents, that's not going to be enough given the current trends of how things are looking. That would put them at 7-10 on the year and with less than a 1% shot at the postseason. So that's if you lose all of your non-NFC South remaining games. That's where we're at. If you add wins to that, however, over the Jets and the Cardinals, the record will jump to 9-8, but it'll only get you to about a 32% chance of making the postseason. So again, still not good enough. The real needle movers for you is the Rams game and the Seahawks game. So let's say the Falcons win nearly all of the games I have previously mentioned. If you lose to both the Rams and the Seahawks and still win those other games, you're done. Which is like that's why them being 3-6 right now is a real. It's not a death sentence, but it's not good. Split the Rams and the Seahawks, beat everybody else. You climb to about 83% chance, but all of this ultimately means that yes, the Falcons have to win. And continue to win some more in order to keep hopes alive. You're to that point in the season.
Yeah, the wild card picture is not a friendly one for Atlanta at this point in time. I mean, the NFC is, I think, better than the AFC at this point. Like, the AFC has been a stronger conference, a lot due to the quarterback play in that conference. But I think this year the NFC has been awesome.
Yeah.
And that's where it may come down to it's still the division being in play. Like Tampa Bay losing last week, Carolina losing last week, that helps. And Tampa's dealing with some injuries. If those kind of ultimately creep up and hamper them down the stretch when they have a tougher schedule, then maybe the division is still in play for Atlanta. And that is always going to be their best bet, their path to the playoffs.
Yeah, it's the easiest one in theory.
Yeah. Anything else that we want to touch on with the Carolina Panthers game in particular before we kind of pivot to our final topic?
You got to win it. I have nothing else to say but that. If you do not win, again, it goes back to my main point. Like, if you do not win that game, like, I'm not saying your season is done, but it's getting to the point of being on ice.
I think she covered it.
All right. Well, then let's move on to our final topic for today's show. Just want to kind of give a little bit of a shout out to the rookie class.
They're doing well.
They're doing amazing. Like this is kind of the group that when we're sitting here kind of reflecting on the draft at the end of April and looking at the haul, it was like, all right, well, we know what we hope they can be, but can they become that? And I kind of feel like they are right now on the closer end of like the top level of what we should have expected from them.
Yeah, well, we said going into the draft, the Falcons needed 4 or 5 defensive starters out of the draft class in order to feel good about where you were in terms of your depth and talent defensively. And they absolutely found that.
Yeah, so Terrin, you want to catch us up on how well they have performed this year?
Yes. Edge rusher, Jalen Walker, who was drafted 15th overall. He has played in 7 games, made 25 tackles, 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, and 1 pass breakup.
He's playing very well right now since coming back from that groin injury that I think kind of lingered for him a bit. And I love watching him play, but I also love watching him play with James Pierce Jr.
Speaking of.
Funny you should mention that.
Edge rusher James Pierce Jr. was drafted 26th overall, has played in 9 games. He has made 9 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble recovery, and pass breakup. Oh, okay. I'll keep going. I didn't know if you were going to give a little tidbit to it.
No. I just wanted to say that about Jalen Walker. Go Dogs, you know.
Rewind quick to Jalen. He did win Rookie of the Week honor last week from
Pepsi.
I was going to say a rival.
A rival sponsor.
A rival soda.
Since we're playing Carolina this week, can we not mention their name?
Yeah,
okay, let's keep this an Atlanta beverage-friendly podcast.
We are Coca-Cola.
I didn't know that was a Carolina thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Xavier Watts drafted in the 3rd round.
It's drafty in here.
9 starts in 9 games, so he's the only rookie who has started every game he's played in. 56 tackles, 2 interceptions, 4 pass breakups. He won NFL Rookie of the Month for September. No sponsor involved. Billy Bowman Jr., 4th round pick, 1 start in 5 games, 22 tackles, half a sack, 1 interception, 1 forced fumble, 2 pass breakups. Want to give him a little shout out right now, though, because safety Jesse Bates III, a veteran and captain, named Billy as someone who has kind of like surprisingly stepped up during this tough skid and been vocal.
Interesting.
I love that. Especially
Literally asked him today.
Yeah, it's especially considering that Billy missed 4 games coming out of the bye because of a hamstring injury.
Apparently, the hamstring injury has given him like perspective.
Aw.
And I was like, oh, go Billy.
Go Billy.
I feel like Grady Jarrett said the same kind of thing when he missed time. It's like you do get that chance to sit back. It's a little bit like listening to the last couple of shows with you two. I was like, oh
moment.
man, wow, yeah, I'm seeing things from a new light.
Yeah.
But the Billy thing is awesome. It helps, I think, make clear why exactly they identified these 4 guys as the ones they wanted to bring in. Jalen Walker has also been getting a lot of praise from the coaching staff this week about his leadership, which was something obviously we talked about in the draft process, but to see it here in Atlanta coming to fruition is really exciting. But I know a lot of people also were scratching their head, worried about the moving up to go get James Pierce Jr. again, giving up next year's first-round pick. At this point, I kind of feel like it was a pretty good call.
I mean, I do too. I thought that it was a good move at the time too. I didn't understand the overwhelming anger.
Yeah, it was just kind of consensus this was a bad move.
Right, this is a bad move. It was a bad trade. It doesn't make any sense. Like, why James Pierce Jr.? It was all of that. And I think but I'm sitting here right now kind of feeling like, okay.
You got your pass rush.
Well, that's the thing is like, I understand like that the team doesn't have a first-round draft pick next year.
Focus on the present.
Honestly, I think it's okay. I also think that's okay too, because I don't think that you're going to see a team that's going to give up down the stretch to like potentially have a higher draft pick. It doesn't matter for the Falcons.
Yeah,
like
no, they're going to play it out.
Yeah, you need to. I think you'll see a team that's fighting to the finish. I don't know if that will amount to wins. I will say that, but this defense is going to at least do enough to keep you in games, and James Pierce Jr. is a part of that. I still believe that the 2025 draft class is one of the best draft classes of Terry Fontenot's career as a GM here in Atlanta. I think that is
I think it's number one.
Number one, and I think it's a very easy number one. I know people are mad about, again, not having it, but what if you didn't have James Pierce Jr.? Like, what if you went into 2026 with a first-round pick and got someone who didn't amount to much? Meanwhile, you see right now the evidence is in front of you what James Pierce Jr. is doing for you. He's producing for you. You have 2 edge rushers that in back-to-back weeks have made game-changing plays. So
think about what you just said. Hold on. Think about what you just said.
Yeah.
You have 2 edge rushers. 2 of them. Not just one. 2.
Right.
2.
Yeah.
Who have made game-changing plays in back-to-back weeks.
Right. Correct. And I'd argue if the Falcons got Waack and JPJ in
Waack,
yeah.
I think of my dad.
Jeffrey Waack.
Shout out to the OG Waack.
Right, yeah. But no, I think if like you would have gotten Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr. in back-to-back drafts instead of then I think people would have had nothing to say about that. I think people would have been pumped about that. The 100%. Fact that like, so you got them in one. Like, again, you're using a future first-round pick now because you believe at the time of drafting that this was a team that was ready to win now. Obviously, they haven't won a game in 4 weeks. So, like, I get that kind of goes out the window a little bit. Like, does it suck to not have a first-round draft pick next year? Yes, of course. I have to do mock drafts. I'm going to hate not being able to talk about the Falcons
Let's not think about that yet.
For weeks and weeks. But I also think it would suck not having James Pierce Jr. on this roster. So you can't have it all, and I do believe the Falcons did what they thought was best to win at now.
Yeah.
It's not James Pierce Jr.'s fault that the Falcons aren't winning right now.
No, the defense is keeping them in games like we talked about at the beginning.
I'm sweating.
I'm laughing because Tori's been holding that in, it seems like. She was like, let me get up on this box and preach why JPJ should be here.
I will not hear any more about the JPJ trade slander. I will not hear it.
The other reason why I think it's just impactful, right, is when you look at, we talked a lot last year after kind of Michael Penix Jr.'s 3 games and what he accomplished with Bijan and Drake and the window for Atlanta's like offense on these rookie contracts. Well, that window is naturally going to be closing over the next couple of years as the rookie contracts come to an end. However, it didn't take you 4 drafts to kind of compile this young talent on the defensive side of the ball. You got that in one hit. So now when you look at kind of the offseason and contracts and salary cap and everything, like I think there's such a benefit in having these 4 guys at key positions on your defense on rookie contracts. And we talked about that first round pick. 2 of them have that 5th-year option. And they're
Correct.
the 2 most valuable positions on the defensive side of the ball. So I think that this rookie class on defense is truly special. I don't want to lose sight of that, even though, again, they're in the midst of that 4-game losing streak. Like, we can be able to do both. We can all contain multitudes. Yeah. We can be better, and we can say, yes, they got to be better on the field. And this class is kicking butt.
That's the thing is I think like everybody works in these absolutes, and like I don't really feel like there are absolutes. I think that there are 2 sides to every coin. I think that 2 things can be true at the same time, and this is like this conversation is an epitome of that.
Yeah.
Will's back. We're ending on a positive note.
There we go. Bringing the optimism back. But yeah, let's go ahead and wrap it there. Everybody, please check out the pregame show on YouTube. It goes up an hour before kickoff. Kickoff is at 1 p.m. inside of Mercedes-Benz Stadium. The Falcons will try to avenge their 30-0 loss, and they got to do it, right?
Yeah.
It is crunch time here. We are already at that point of the season. So open it up. Any final things to say before we get out of here?
Terrin is running a marathon this weekend.
Yay.
Yeah, Terrin's running a marathon, so everyone cheer Terrin on because she's been training a lot for this. She even trained while we were in Germany.
I ran 9 miles in Berlin.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And then we did a whole tour.
Wait,
we did a whole
miles
tour.
or kilometers?
Miles.
I know.
This is my
know
homeland.
about that.
This is my homeland.
I don't know. I'm
How
American.
many kilometers is that, though?
I don't know how to change my settings on my Garmin. But how many? Well, 10K is 6 miles.
5K
that's
is
about all I got.
3.2.
All right.
So
well,
it's about 13, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's about 13K.
there you go.
Okay.
13K. Well, that is what our
Somebody's
show.
gonna be like, you're wrong.
Someone's going to be like, no, it's not.
We learned. Tori and I aren't good at math on the spot.
No, we're not.
I need pen and paper.
Well, then, let's go ahead and not do any more math on this show. But thank you guys so much for listening. Please spread the word, like, subscribe, do all of that. And we will see you after the game for Falcons Final Whistle. We'll see you next week, Falcons Audible, and Friday 5 one more time. So until then, everybody, take care.